So Ben and I are married in our mid-30s and we have two gorgeous daughters. We met 8 years ago, been married for 5 years. We live in the suburbs of Brisbane. So we actually first sought insurance advice way back in 2011, and we'd only been together for a year, so it actually strikes me now as a great day of adulting. So what happened was an insurance advisor came to my office and spoke to us over lunch about the value of insurance. It made perfect sense to me, so I thought, wow, we really need to get some income protection insurance. So I followed through that process, and yeah, so we got insured way back in 2011 as people who were really just dating and in our mid-20s. So the insurance reviews with our original advisor, I guess I'd have to say was reviewed but not as I now understand it should be. So now that I'm better acquainted with insurance and the process of insurance reviews, I feel like we could have had more robust reviews and a change in the insurance levels, which was never done. So that's my impression of that process. A lot's changed in our life over the period that we have been insured. We went through this unfortunate period where we thought we were property moguls, so we ended up buying lots of residential properties at a time. So we had a lot more debt, and then we had some kids and we lived overseas. So lots has changed. One of the major changes was my husband changed his career from a diesel mechanic to a pilot. So that's a pretty massive change when it concerns insurance. Yeah, and I guess life got more complex in a lot of ways, and fun, and I wouldn't take any of it back. In May 2017, my husband and I had our first weekend away without kids, and on the Saturday morning at 10:20 in the morning, my very fit, very accomplished husband had a massive seizure in the streets of the Rocks in Sydney. I knew quite quickly, so once I'd realised that, once I'd been told by passersby that came to help, and we were very lucky to have medical attention within 4 seconds, that what he was having was a major seizure. So once I'd got over the fact that he wasn't dying in my hands, which I thought for a couple of minutes I was watching the life leave his body, I realised pretty quickly what I was actually watching was the end of his dream and his career as a pilot. Now, we didn't have that confirmed for another 72 hours, but I pretty much knew on the pavement in the Rocks that I was watching the end of his dream to continue his career as a pilot. And I think it was probably 25 minutes after that, he still didn't know my name. He didn't know what city we were in or what year it was. But I think he also worked out at that point his career as a pilot was over. And I think it was maybe an hour and a half after the seizure happened, when we were in the hospital, was the first time I thought about the fact that this is why we had that day of adulting well. This is why we took insurance out. So it probably was an hour and a half before it hit me that we are insured. So I was over he's not going to die today. I was protecting him from all of the medical practitioners who were lovely and really helpful, but also they were like, oh, well, he's not going to be a pilot now. So I was protecting from all that, but in the back of my mind knowing, right, bills are going to get paid and we're not going to have to lose our house, or this is not going to impact the future that we had dreamed for ourselves. I guess it wasn't even a few days, probably the Monday when we found out it was definitely the end to Ben's career, I contacted our insurance advisor just to put them on notice of what had happened, that suspect we would need to make a claim. I had truly no idea about the claims process. It was a moment where I thought, this is why you buy insurance through an advisor. So part of the service is that claims process. So I had no idea what to expect, but I made the phone call to say, this has happened. I'm sure this is why we've been paying premiums for 7 years. What's the next step? The advice our advisor, and it actually wasn't our initial advisor, he'd sold his business, but the advice the advisor who was looking after our insurance gave us was, lots of paperwork, that we're going to go through a claims process, and he did a bit of a back of the envelope calculation on our income protection and the policy that we had in place. And I'm still quite angry about that conversation. So the income protection that he thought he could get us was very insignificant and certainly doesn't live up to the term income protection. He also had us fill in what turns out to be a lot of forms for claims that we weren't making, and we had to pay the neurologist quite a lot of fees to fill in forms that were not required for the claim. So after 3 or 4 weeks of paperwork, I had begun to realise that we were in the wrong hands, and I was very fortunate to actually be at dinner with some of the JBS team, and just very briefly said, I'm having a bit of a nightmare claims process, and thanks to your experience, you said, yes, that does not sound right. So I am incredibly grateful that we were able to move our claim from our original advisor, or the guy who bought his business, to JBS. The outcome of moving the claim to JBS, the original back of the envelope calculation that the advisor gave us for the claim, JBS actually secured 4 times that sum for income protection for my husband. So now it does live up to the term income protection and gives him a lot more opportunities with his life, and gives our family a lot more opportunities. We filled in the correct paperwork. So I actually think we're in the claim process with the other advisor for about 6 weeks. And the claims process with JBS seemed to be, it was almost like we were trying to achieve different things, because it was very organised, very structured. We were so informed with what was going on at each step, with what we could expect the next steps to be, and then the outcome is that our income protection is paying every single month, and we know that if anything ever went wrong there, we know we've got a phone call with someone who can handle that. And we had Ben's TPD claim processed in full. So I really wonder, if I hadn't spoken to you guys, I actually don't suspect we would have had the TPD claim paid at all, and the income protection would have certainly been less than half of what we're currently getting. So, it's a really big deal. My advice to people, I guess of my age, but maybe more specifically of the age that I was when I took out insurance, I have a really good understanding now of the practicalities of insurance and what it is to insure. Insurance is to insure your current standard of life. So if you don't want a really unexpected incident to result in you taking a backward step in life, then I can't recommend it highly enough. So my advice is actually get insured either in your 20s, so tell your young people to get insured, or right now. I just don't think that there's ever going to be a better time in the future of your life to be insured. So my advice is to do it really soon, but also to seek a professional. So do your research, or ask them for some recommendations, or jump on Google, see recommendations from clients. I would also probably seek out someone who is not just going to be really good at getting you the right insurance, but is also the person that you can call on your very worst day. So make sure that you are not just getting insurance from someone who's pretty good at insurance, but someone who you could call and say, I need your help. I am doing this video for JBS because I'm now really passionate about young people being insured. I can't imagine our life today if we didn't have insurance. So I'm doing this video as a bit of a give back to the community. I'm so grateful that we got insured, and I can't think of anyone in my life I wouldn't recommend it to. I'm the very annoying person at baby showers who starts asking who's got adequate insurance. So I thought maybe I could cast a wider net if we filmed this story of what's happened to our family in the last 9 months.